Hey everyone, Steven here from Redolessence, and welcome to my 2013 fragrance starting lineup video. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is an idea that was started by Brandon. He's a fellow YouTube fragrance reviewer. His YouTube handle is Cutlass Supreme SL. And what this basically is it's a basketball term that was transposed to refer to fragrances. So it's 6 fragrances for 6 different occasions. So just to kind of list off the occasions, you have your signature scent, you have your work scent, you have your night out scent, you have your close quarters, between the sheets / romantic scent, you have a daring fragrance, and then you have the fragrance that makes you feel like $1,000,000, or your suit and tie fragrance. So I've been playing around with the idea of making this video, but my taste does change pretty frequently, and I've been kind of putting it off to the side, but I finally settled on a list that I've compiled that I feel very comfortable sharing with you today. Most of these fragrances, as a matter of fact, all of them, I think with the exception of one, are fragrances that I've had in my collection now for over a year. So these are fragrances that I absolutely love. They have withstood the test of time, and I'm very comfortable putting them on this list. So without further ado, this is my 2013 fragrance starting lineup video. Very excited to be doing this. So first up is your signature scent. Your signature scent is a fragrance that you want to wear when you don't know what else to wear. It's that fragrance that you know you can depend on, the one you know you can rely on. And when I was selecting my signature scent, I was really looking for versatility. I want this to be a fragrance that I can wear cold weather, hot weather, dressed up, dressed down, casual, formal, and this is a fragrance that I think really satisfies that 100%. This is a fragrance, like I said, I've had this a little over a year, and I'm incredibly satisfied with this purchase. It's one of my favorite fragrances. It's from the house of Christian Dior. This is from their Privé line, and it's called Bois d'Argent. Now, in my humble opinion, I really do feel like this is Annick Minardo's best composition to date. This fragrance is one that has a little bit of sweetness attributed to the honey, but it has this balmy characteristic because of the iris. Some people say it's cloudy. It does have like this ethereal nature to it. And what I like about this fragrance is that no matter what the occasion is, I feel very comfortable, very confident wearing this fragrance. I have yet to receive a negative comment on this fragrance. It is one of my most complimented fragrances. There's another one on this list that gets a little bit more compliments, but what I get out of this is this mild green dry down. I think it's because of the cypress that's used. It didn't become evident to me the very first few times that I wear it, but the more that I wear it, the more that it seems to come out. But I think the really the highlight of this composition is the honey, the iris, and the myrrh. So it's an incense fragrance, but it's not smoky. It actually has a little bit of sweetness to it. So I don't know if it's like the bitter myrrh variety or if it's a Popinax, but it definitely has like the sweet nature to it. This would be a very difficult fragrance for me to review, hence the reason why I have not reviewed it yet, but definitely one of my favorites, very versatile. So again, from the house of Christian Dior, this is from their Privé line, and it's called Bois d'Argent. Now, I know Van Cleef & Arpels also has a fragrance called Bois d'Iris, I think. It smells very similar to this one, and even Adori has a fragrance called Iris, which doesn't smell as similar, but it has a pretty similar vibe, I would say. This is still my preference over the other two. So Bois d'Argent by Christian Dior. Next up on my list is my work scent. Now, for my work scent, I'm also looking for versatility because I want to wear something and I want to stick with it. Especially, this is a fragrance that I think could work just like this fragrance. I think it could work very well in the cold weather as well as the hot weather. And it's usually the versatile and the safe fragrances are the ones that are very generic, the ones that a lot of people wear. So I wanted to go for something that really allows me to stand out from the rest of the crowd, but something that I think really represents me, something that I really like to wear, and something that's enjoyable for other people because I work 5 days out of the week. So I want to wear something that other people are not going to get choked out by, other people are not going to find offensive, and this is one of my most complimented fragrances to date. So this stands out. It's safe in a way, as long as you don't over apply, but it's a great fragrance, I think. And this one is from the house of Creed. Everyone knows this one, and this one is called Aventus. So this is a fragrance that was made by Creed. It was a collaboration between father and son, Olivier and Erwin Creed, and it commemorates the life of Napoleon. I just think it's a beautiful fragrance. It has this very unconventional citrusy opening because of the pineapple. Very true, authentic, rich, very juicy pineapple. There's a birch tar note in there that lends it a very slight smoky quality that gives it this masculine nature about it, and it has a very sensual, very exotic opening. Of course, you have a lot of other fruit notes in there, like the apple and the black currant. As it starts to dry down in the mid, you get a little bit of rose, which I think allows this fragrance to retain that sensual nature. And then in the dry down, you have the vanilla and some other resins, I believe. It's just a beautiful fragrance, very inoffensive, and actually one of my favorites. And as you can tell by the level in the bottle, I will be needing to purchase another one soon. I have been wearing this a lot to work. So definitely one of my favorites from the House of Creed, and it's called Aventus. Next up is my night out fragrance. Now for my night out fragrance, I just want to throw out a little disclaimer out there. I don't really do the whole clubbing, partying scene. Very rarely do I go to bars. So a night out for me would include either going to a close friend's house for dinner or going to a romantic dinner with my girlfriend. So I don't really do the whole partying thing, but you know, I still want to wear something that would qualify as a night out fragrance. Something that still has a little bit of sweetness to it, but I don't necessarily need something to cut through the crowd, or a fragrance that will cut through everyone else's fragrances in a club or anything like that. Now for this fragrance, I wanted to pick something that was sweet, a fragrance that I really like, but not something that's overly sweet to the point where it comes across smelling puerile, juvenile, or childish. The fragrance that I picked for my night out fragrance does have this sweet quality about it, but it's very toned down and tamed. I think it's balanced because it does share the composition or the spotlight with the note of oud, and I think what the oud note does in this fragrance is really serves to kind of balance out the rest of the composition, and it's an oud that's not offensive, and that's what I really like about this fragrance. It's a very odd mix, but I think the two notes work very well together. So this fragrance from the House of Bond #9 is called Andy Warhol. So this is the face edition. So the name of this fragrance is just Andy Warhol. I'm not quite sure if this fragrance is still available, just because the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, which is a contract that Bond #9 had with that company, expired. So I don't know if they're still making this fragrance. Maybe they are, but they just repackaged it, renamed it. But this is a beautiful plum oud combo, a little bit of vanilla in there as well. I believe there's cypress in there as well. I did a review on this fragrance, so I'm going to leave a link in one of these corners if you're interested in watching it. But it's sweet, but not so sweet to the point where it's gourmand. I think it flirts with gourmand territory, but it doesn't necessarily smell edible. But I love that juicy, unconventional sweetness that the plum gives to the table. I haven't quite smelled another fragrance like this one, so I would say that it's definitely a unique fragrance in my collection, and one of my favorites, hand down. So from the House of Bond #9, again, this one is called Andy Warhol. Definitely a favorite of mine. So next up on my list is my romantic fragrance, also known as the Between the Sheets fragrance, and this is a very cozy fragrance. So that's why I chose it for this list. This is the one that I have not owned for a very long time. It was a more recent purchase of mine. I think I've had it now for a few months, but the dry down on this fragrance is one of the most heavenly dry downs that I've ever put my nose on. This is a fragrance that I also have reviewed from the House of Montal. This fragrance is called Intense Cafe. Now, of course, for a Between the Sheets or a romantic fragrance, I wanted to choose something that was definitely romantic. So I think that the rose in combination with the resins, that amber accord that you get in the base with the vanilla, it's just very sensual. It's very, it does have this sweet nature to it. I don't think it's overly sweet either, but I think it's something that definitely is alluring. It lures people in. It allows people to gravitate closer to you. And it's a fragrance, luckily, that my girlfriend really, really loves. I would say she hates about 90% of my collection, and this is one that she really does enjoy quite a bit. So I feel very comfortable wearing this fragrance around her. I don't know if I've necessarily worn it between the sheets, but just to kind of satisfy that category, this is the first fragrance that came to my mind. Definitely one of the most heavenly dry downs. Just think of amber, like labdanum and resins, very sweet resins, and the vanilla really overpowering and making it the top note in that amber accord. Just a beautiful fragrance from the House of Montal, and it's called Intense Cafe. Definitely one of my favorites. So next up is my daring fragrance. This one was an obvious selection for me. This is also a fragrance that I've had for quite a while now, and yet another one that I've reviewed. And when I was thinking about this list, I knew that this fragrance was going to make that list immediately because it's quite the opposite of this fragrance. My girlfriend hates it. But this fragrance is definitely one of my favorites just because of the interplay of the different notes. It doesn't quite smell like anything else in my collection, but I think that's something that I really love about this fragrance from the house of Amouage. This fragrance is called Interlude Man. The reason why I picked this fragrance is because the opening is enough to turn a lot of people off. What you get in the opening is this very culinary overtone. I believe it's oregano, and what it does is it gives it this smoky opening in the fragrance. I know there's the note of incense, and I do get a lot of incense, not necessarily a particular variety, whether it's a Papanax or a Labanum. I think I get a little bit of everything really in here. It's more of like an incense accord, but I think it's that culinary overtone that really allows this fragrance to smell like a fireplace. And I know it has like this burning quality. I don't know if people would necessarily call it a quality, because some people don't think it's a good thing. I think that once this fragrance dries down, when the sweet resins come into play, the dry down, this fragrance and Patchouli 24 by Le Labo have a very heavenly dry down, and definitely one of my favorites. So from the house of Amouage, this is called Interlude Man. Of course, you get the green qualities, you get a smoky, incensey quality, and a bunch of resins in the dry down. Very complex fragrance, and one of my favorites, very daring. I don't feel very comfortable wearing this fragrance in public. I do wear this fragrance in the comfort of my own home all the time, but again, as I've said, I have not received a compliment on this fragrance. So yeah, from the house of Amouage, it's called Interlude Man. Definitely a daring fragrance for me. And last up is the fragrance in my collection that makes me feel like $1,000,000. And I think the reason why I chose this next fragrance to be a part of my list is because I've already associated it with a lot of memories in which I wore a suit and tie. And this is a fragrance that's at the very top of my list when considering what fragrances I want to wear when I'm dressed up. I remember wearing this for the past couple of years during a formal event that I usually attend in December. So now every time I think of this fragrance, I associate it with that event. And it's from the house of Nasomato, and it's called Pardon. Now, Pardon, what I get from this fragrance is this beautiful magnolia oud combo. It's kind of, it's not off-putting. It's definitely a very sweet fragrance, but again, just like Andy Warhol by Bond No. 9, it's not gourmand. With this fragrance, I think it's more, you know, the occasions on which somebody would wear it that will determine how it plays off. Because if you wear it casually, it's very inappropriate, I think. I think just the magnolia, the florals, kind of give it that dressed up quality that I really appreciate about it. But the chocolate patchouli combo really lends it to sweet nature that I think, just like Intense Cafe, a lot of people would gravitate toward you. So absolutely beautiful fragrance. Very, very comfortable wearing this one in a suit and tie. I love wearing it dressed up. Just a heavenly blend of notes. All of these are favorite fragrances of mine, and they would all, if I were to make a top 20 or a top 30 list, every single one of these fragrances would be in that list for the reasons that I have mentioned in this video. So thank you so much for watching. This is my list. This is my 2013 fragrance starting lineup list. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to shoot me a message, get in contact with me, and I would like to know, what is your 2013 fragrance starting lineup? Please let me know by leaving a comment down below. Again, thank you all very much for watching. This has been Steven with another video from Redolessence. Take care.